Hi everybody, I hope you can hear me. And so to let you know and to see if it's going to work, my name is Dr. Rebecca Joseph. I'm a professor at California State University, Los Angeles in Los Angeles. And today's webinar is going to be called Transferring with a Plan. I have my email up there for you if you need to reach me. I'm on Facebook also and LinkedIn. Just to get us started, can people let me know if you are a college student or an adult, or if you have any particular questions that I can answer for you? Otherwise, I'm going to get started in 20 seconds. Make sure you get down my emails and my Facebook. This presentation is called Transferring with a Plan. So does that work? Okay, can everybody see my PowerPoint now? Okay, so does anybody want to ask? Okay, so I'm going to get started. Here is my first slide. I'd like you to meet 4 amazing students. Each and every one of these students, to let you know, ended up transferring colleges and had either now actually every single one of them is in college right now. Okay, so Alma, meet Alma. Alma went to a local California high school. She had no immigration papers. She did not have funds to go to a 4-year college right outside of high school, so she opted to go to her local community college. She began taking classes right away in her passion, which is political science, and she began volunteering for an outreach organization on her campus, and she joined the student government, which helped her get priority enrollment, which if you're in your community college, one of the things that you're going to need to work on is priority enrollment. Another thing that Alma did is that she got involved with a local nonprofit office working with immigrants like her and parents like hers. She completed all of her transfer requirements and found this amazing scholarship for which she was nominated called the Jack Kent Cook Scholarship. She was nominated by her campus, which each campus, community college campus in the United States that's participating is allowed to nominate 2 community college students. She put in her application and she received significant funding to help her pay for her second 2 years of college. She's now finishing up at University of Southern California. Later this afternoon, you can learn about the Jack Kent Cook Scholarship Fund, I think, in 2 hours. So if you have any questions for them, please go to their session. Meet Brian. Brian was from a big city. He went to an elite private school where he had a 3.5 GPA overall. He had an uneven college list with many unrealistic colleges on it, and only decided to attend the one that he felt was worthy of him. When he got to this private college on the East Coast, he didn't feel intellectually stimulated and he didn't feel engaged. And when we contacted each other, I had to tell him is no college wants an unhappy transfer student. I said they want students who have tried out the college where they are and have realized through academic experiences, through extracurricular involvement, that this is not the college for them. So Brian did that. He got involved in several campus organizations. He made sure academically to be taking the courses that he needed to take to transfer. He applied as a transfer student, and he's now a senior at University of Southern California. So he did everything that he needed to do, and it worked out for him. Remember, colleges do not want unhappy transfer students. Meet Catalina. Catalina went to a great public high school. She got admitted to several colleges but couldn't afford to go. She is now finishing her first year of community college and is getting ready to transfer. You know what? And she's doing everything that she needs to do. She has a job. She's in the honors program at her community college. She's putting together all of her requirements, including getting her transcript sent out, getting her recommendations written, writing new essays for her common application, and she is applying to several 4-year colleges as we speak. Meet Mark. Mark, this is a great picture of Mark, I have to say. Mark went to a local public high school. He had a 2.8 GPA. He opted after junior year of high school to graduate early because he didn't want to, he saw the writing on the wall about what his prospects were going to be. So what he did is he started immediately at a community college that very summer, took a full load of classes his first year, completed his GE requirements and then his major requirements. He started interning at a law office. He actually got involved in protests on his campus. He got a summer job. He is now a senior at UCLA. The most important thing I hope you're hearing in all of these four profiles, despite being profoundly different, is that they all made sure that they hit certain key factors. We're going to go over those key factors right now. Remember, no college, no four-year university wants to inherit any unhappy transfer student. So if you're unhappy, you need to learn how to frame it. You need to learn how to work it, and suggesting that you have outgrown your university, that your university doesn't offer certain programming that you're looking for. Even if you dislike your current college, colleges want transfer students with good GPAs, engagement on and off campus, and finally, they want powerful applications. So number one, what do four-year colleges want from transfer students? The first and number one thing that they want are your grades, academics. Now, when you're transferring, it's different from when you were applying as a high school student. Primarily, they look at your college grades. Now, if you're applying as a freshman to go in as a freshman transfer or as a sophomore transfer, they will look at your high school grades, but it's very, very, very important that you follow their academic requirements. Primarily, they want you to be following the general education requirements that they've established. They don't want you transferring into their university having to retake classes. They want you to come in having met some, or if, ideally all of their GE requirements. They also, many colleges have prerequisites for particular majors. For example, if you want to be a business major, they may require you to have completed calculus. If you're going to be a biology major, they may have required that you take 2 biology classes, a couple chemistry classes, a physics class. There are certain requirements that they have for your major. Now, if you do this carefully, you can make your GE and major prerequisites overlap in many cases. Some students who want to transfer also have to do these assessment tests at community college, and they find out that they're going to have to do some remediation in math or English. You're going to need to have completed all your math and English remediation before you transfer to your four-year college. Colleges also look for essays. The majority of them, including the University of California and the majority of other private institutions and private institutions, look for essays. You need to know that these essays are profoundly different from when you applied, or if you didn't apply, but they're profoundly different from the application essays that you write as a senior. These essays are very practical. They are very functional, and I'll go over that in a few minutes. Many of the private universities are looking for recommendations. Now, they do not want your high school teachers. So they're going to be looking for a professor you had. They're going to be looking for community members. They may be looking for your academic advisor. So you're going to need to begin thinking the minute you begin the transfer process, who is going to be able to write a recommendation letter for me? They also are looking for you to be actively engaged. They're going to be looking for you to have started working if you can get a job. They're going to be looking for you to do community service. They're going to be looking for you to get involved in clubs and opportunities on your current campus. They're going to be looking also, if you're an athlete, they will be looking at your years of eligibility. They're going to be looking for you to still be engaged in your sport and still working on it, even if there is no opportunity for you at your current community college. They're going to be making sure that where are you doing your work. They may also look at other things, including special talents. They may be looking at ethnicity, culture, obstacles overcome, your passions. These are all vital for you to continue into community college or into your private colleges or into your public universities. They are expecting you to have all of these. Now, occasionally I meet a student who comes to me and says, Dr. Joseph, my first semester I didn't know what I was doing and I got an F in a class. And I say to that student, the most important thing for you to do is to retake that exact class. Because many four-year universities, like the University of California, will allow you to replace grades. Some other universities will average the grades, but at least you're showing your ability to remake a class. Other students say to me, Dr. Joseph, I have a couple W's on my record. Well, W's are not as bad as low grades. So you need to think all the way through your university experience as a community college student. If I'm in the wrong class for me, I better find out when the drop deadlines are. I better find out when the withdraw deadlines are. You do not have the excuse anymore of having bad professors or having the wrong class. You need to show that you are mature enough to go into a four-year university as a transfer student who's going to hit the ground running. So you need to make sure that you are doing everything you can to prepare yourself strong. So what do? You need to keep a master chart of all requirements. Colleges around the country are working on trying to come up with similar transfer requirements. That does not exist quite yet. So every college may have different prerequisites, and you need to track their information now, because you'll find out that even though the University of California, San Diego has this requirement for psychology, or NYU has this requirement, that many of these classes overlap. And so when you're making your chart, you need to also find out, do they require recommendations? Who can those recommendations be? You need to know which transcripts do they require. Are they going to require your high school transcript? So all of you right now, if you know that you're going to transfer, may want to go to your high school and get several official copies of your high school transcript. If you got your GED, what do they want to know? Are they going to want to know the copy of your GED copy? So you can order all of those things now and have them ready to send. They're also going to have different requirements about SATs. Some universities say if you hit 30 units at a private university or a public university, you will not need to send your SAT scores. Some of them say no matter what, you have to send your SAT scores. Some of them, like the University of California, say if you transfer in, you'll be transferring in as a junior, and if you have your 60 units, you do not need to send your SAT scores. You also need to find out when you're allowed to transfer in. Colleges like the University of California only allow you to transfer in as a junior. Other colleges like University of Southern California only let you transfer in every fall. Some universities take transfers every semester. So that is something that you need to keep track of. When are their deadlines? Because they are not the same deadlines as they are for freshman applicants. Also, you need to find out their prerequisites of which grades do they want to see the year that you're applying. Some of them will only want to see first semester. Some of them will want to wait to see your second semester. You need to have a chart of all of these requirements, and it will make your application process even better. Now, the majority of colleges who actively accept transfer students have transfer days. They will actually have to they want you to go to them if you can. Some of them are virtual. For example, College Week Live has open houses online for students who want to transfer. Also, they have online resources that you complete. You also can go to transfer workshops at your community college. You need to make sure that you do whatever you can to learn the exact requirements of these colleges. More and more colleges are taking transfer students for two reasons. One, the economy. It's very expensive to go to a four-year college in many cases, so many of them know that students like Caddy may be going to a community college to save up money to go to a four-year college. That's why more and more of them are taking transfer students. Other of them have a lot of kids who may leave, and so they have open spaces. So that's another opportunity for you. You need to understand that community colleges want to get to know you and they provide multiple opportunities for you to do this. Deadlines. You need to right now know the deadlines for the colleges to which you're going to apply as a transfer student. You need to make sure, do they have fall or spring deadlines? When are they? Do they have priority deadlines and then final deadlines? Some will only take you in the fall. Some of them even take, by the way, freshman spring transfers. Some take sophomores, juniors. The one thing that you need to know is there are no colleges that I know that regularly take senior transfers. They want you to be there for at least half of your education. They want you to complete your major requirements there. They would really prefer that you do your GE courses in community college. There are many universities that have a fixed deadline. The University of California application is due November 30th. The Cal State LA and Cal State fall state deadlines are November 30th. But you know that USC is due on Saturday. University of Michigan is due on Saturday. Other schools have March deadlines. They have April deadlines. They have all different kinds of deadlines. Some of them will have specialized deadlines for particular majors. Please make sure you track deadlines. They are on the college's website. They are even on my iPhone, an app. I've developed an app for Google and iPhone called All College Application Essays. I have all the deadlines. You need to find them and keep track of them. Someone asked, I dropped a class. Is that going to reflect poorly on the application? Well, you need to understand, if you dropped a class, it doesn't show on your, if you just drop a class, it doesn't show on your transcript, only if you withdraw. And if you just withdrew from one class, I don't think colleges really take a look at that. But if you withdrew from several classes, you would need to explain. And the applications, every application except for the Cal States, give you the opportunity to explain. And if you need to, even the Cal States, you could contact a transfer advisor and ask them what you should do. The majority of you right now are probably just at the beginning of the process, and you need to know the deadlines because it gives you an indication of when you need to get certain things done. For example, the majority of colleges do not count summer after you've gotten in classes. You need to get all of your transfer requirements done by the spring of the year before you're going to transfer, if you're going to be a fall transfer. You cannot count those summers. So you need to get units done now. Academics. Let's talk about academics. You need to take the assessment tests at your two-year college incredibly seriously. If you're at a four-year college, you need to take it seriously. They affect your entire experience in college. If you place not well on a math test, you're going to be taking remedial classes that don't count. If you're going to be placing in English classes, again, you'll take at least one or two remedial classes. So you need to make sure that as you're transferring, you count in opportunities to make up these classes because they don't count. You could take another class during a winter session. You could take two classes during the summer in between first year and second year. Next, you only should take classes that count. Some classes may look very interesting to you. That's great. But if they don't count to transfer, they are a waste of your time and energy. The University of California has very specific classes that count. Many universities will just say, just do your GE requirements. But the California colleges, for example, where I am, they have lists of specific classes you have to take in categories. You can't take 4 psychology classes if you're a business major. They don't help you. You need to only take classes that count. Next, you need to make sure that you confirm drops and that you withdraw so that you don't get unexpected fails. Every single one of you needs to go get an unofficial copy of your transcript and make sure that everything that you need to have taken care of is taken care of. Make sure if you get any grade below a C- that you retake the class, because I don't know any university that will allow you to count a D or a F. In fact, usually those units just become zeros. You need to make sure that you are taking your academics very, very seriously. Don't take 4 science classes in one semester. Space them out. You need to have a 1-year plan or a 2-year plan. You need to make sure that you are doing the core requirements. So, academic assessment readiness. For those of you who need to do assessments, the College Board has free sample test questions for many of the assessment tests. You need to do the basic practicing. If English is not your first language and you have difficulty communicating or reading in English, you're going to need to do potentially a prep class to help you do the assessments. iPhone users can use the new AccuPlacer app at the iTunes Store for $1.99, and they have free practice tests for the majority of placement tests. You can do this free math diagnostic test called ALEX. It allows you to take the module for 3 hours during the next 48 hours, and it provides you a great indication of how well you'll do on math tests. I have information here. You need to make sure that you understand the assessment process at the college. They may only allow you to take it once a year, so don't think you could go in and take it a second time. You do need to understand that you need to find out the results as soon as you possibly can so that you can understand how your schedule is going to work out. If you have to take one remedial English class, that means in the fall you'll be doing that class. Then in the spring you'll be doing English 1, and then potentially in the summer or the following fall you'll be doing English 2. If you know that you want to transfer within a year, that means you're going to have to do summer session right after high school, and it means you're going to have to do a winter session in between fall and winter classes. You're going to be in school a long time when you're preparing to transfer. Colleges want to see your academic success. Next, you need to understand that colleges want you again to only be taking classes that count. Number 1 are your GE classes. Number 2 are your major requirements. And number 3 is remediation. For example, the majority of colleges are going to want you to have fulfilled your English requirement before you come in. They're going to want you to have fulfilled your math requirement before you come in. They're going to have a science requirement. They're going to have social science requirements. They're going to have English and the arts requirements. USC just has a series of classes that you need to take, and if it's not on their list, you're going to have a very hard time proving that it meets that requirement. So one of the things you need to do right now is get an extra copy of every syllabus of every class you're taking in community college, or especially at a 4-year college where you're hoping to transfer from. Every single one of these syllabi you may need to provide before you get in or after you get in to get credit for many of the classes that you took. I worked with a young man, Alex, who started off at a college on the East Coast in a marketing program. He knew very quickly that he wanted to major in something else, and this college didn't offer it. So what he did, which was so smart, is he got a hold of all of his syllabi, and when he got into the college, he was able to negotiate a lot of requirements. Make sure that if the college has prerequisites for the major, that you hit them. In California, we have this wonderful program called www.assist.org that has all the requirements for the public universities. You can also go on to each college's website and find the requirements, and then every college has a transfer specialist. If you need to make an appointment with them, that is their job. So you can make an appointment, go in and show them what you're taking, and make sure that you're taking classes that count. But do your research online. The majority of what you need is there. This is what a transfer checklist looks like. This is something that we use in California, and this is every community college has a list to help you transfer to a University of California, and you'll see that they have categories. There's category 1, there's category 2, 3, 4, 5. All the community colleges will have this for the 4-year colleges in their service area. They are great resources for you. The transfer offices have these requirements. Every time you go in and meet with a transfer specialist, please take their name and get their email address and their phone number. You never know when you're going to need to contact them again. You never know when you may need to put their information on an actual application. You need to make sure that when you're doing the transfer requirements that you see that they tell you, even though you have to do 3 social science requirements, you have categories within that you need to meet, and you can only take 2 courses within 1 requirement. A lot of students come to me having not read the directions. I get calls all the time from parents or students saying, I'm unhappy at my college, what do I need to do? I see you need to make sure that you have a college schedule that is fulfilling GE requirements. Basic GE requirements at your university would be a very good place to start if you're at a 4-year college. Community colleges are designed to help you transfer, so you need to make sure that you're hitting all of their requirements. Do not take classes that don't count. Also, you need to make sure of unit requirements. Some colleges say that you must transfer in with 30 to be a sophomore. You must transfer in with 60 to be a junior. If you don't have those number of units themselves, you don't qualify. How horrible would it be if you find out right before you apply that you're missing some units? So it's also very useful for you to take 1 or 2 extra classes just so you go in with a buffer. Here's the Assist website that I was talking about. Your states will also have a program like this. I put in my community college, I put in my university, I put in my major, and they tell me the classes at the community college that you could take that match up with the prerequisites for the university. The large majority of majors have just some requirements, but some have very extensive. I was looking at chemistry requirements to transfer as a chemistry major. They are significant. You need to make sure that you compare the different colleges and come up with a grid of the classes that you need to take so you don't take too many unnecessary classes. Major prerequisites. So this is what it looks like. On the left side, it has the classes that you need to take. On the right side, it has the classes at the community college that you can take that meet the requirement. If you're at a 4-year university, you could go here and it would help you understand, even though these are designed for community college students, the basic kinds of classes you need to be taking at your 4-year university to make you a very strong candidate to transfer. Next, private universities will have their own requirements. Here's the University of Southern California's. They have several requirements. They have these 6 categories. They also have a writing requirement. They have a math requirement. They have a foreign language requirement. But this is very useful for you because you could have this in front of you. You could go to the college and find out you need to understand this word, articulation. Schools have articulation agreements and they have specific classes that count. University of Southern California has these agreements with the large majority of community colleges, but you can read it if you're at a 4-year college and see the basic classes that you need to take. You need to meet these requirements that you show them that you're a serious candidate. You need to check with each school to see their major requirements. You need to make sure that you understand that private colleges follow their own rules. You need to make sure that you complete general education pathways and check with major prerequisites. Remember, units count. Some require 60 semesters or 90 quarter units. Others have different requirements. Count on taking 15 semester or 12 quarter units per quarter. Plan on using your summers and your winter to get ahead. You will need to take winter and summer classes and consider, if you need to, enrolling at more than one community college. Make sure you don't ironically, at the same time, you need to make sure that you're not taking too many classes because universities are putting in enrollment caps. Another thing that you need to understand is that many colleges have transfer agreements that are very, very nice. For example, you could do something called a TAG agreement. It's a college guarantee transfer program. And that will say to you that if you meet these requirements, you will be considered in a special category for our university. The University of California has one that's due September 30th of the year that you're graduating, and you put in with only one University of California. Unfortunately, Berkeley and UCLA don't follow it. But if you want to go to UC San Diego or Davis or Santa Cruz, they will guarantee you admission to one university if you meet their tag requirements. Some universities will have a specialized agreement if you're in an honors program. So you need to make sure that you click on the link and you find out, does the college to which you're transferring have any particular transfer programs that if you get yourself admitted to, increase your chances of getting in. Honors programs at your university are very helpful. Also, if your special needs being enrolled in the disability center, also you need to make sure that you know their programs for first generation students, ropes, EOP, that will help you with your transferring readiness. You need to make sure when you take your schedule that you don't overwhelm yourself, because the worst thing for you is to do poorly in a class. You don't want to take too many hard classes at a time. You want to check out your professors. You can go to Rate My Professor. You can ask other students. Do not suffer in classes that you won't do well in. You need to learn how to drop so that doesn't. So I always recommend that college students who know they're going to transfer sign up for one or two extra classes and know that you're going to end up dropping one or two and get to the right ones with the professors that are an appropriate match for you. You don't want to wait till your last semester to take key classes, because the colleges want to see how well you can do in them before you get there. You need to make sure that you are doing well in your classes. Please go to office hours, go to the writing center, go to the math tutorial center, go get support for these classes. Go to office hours. You have no idea how lonely professors are. All of us, including me, have to have office hours. You can find them and go get help. Get to know your professors, at least one or two, because you're going to need a letter of recommendation. Go to the writing centers, the math centers. Join support programs. Check with each college to see what programs they have for underrepresented students, for first-generation students. Join a study group. What fun, and get help on your classes. Join the scholars or honors programs. They get you guaranteed access to classes. They get you guaranteed access to transfer programs, and they are going to help you do very well in your transfer process. Get involved. Nobody wants a transfer student who hasn't been involved. Now, you could be involved in different ways. You can get involved on campus. You could do athletics. You could do student government. You can work on campus. They hire student workers. You could volunteer with outreach programs on campus. You need to have at least 2 or 3 things that you're doing. You could do volunteer or internships in your community or with a certain profession. If you know you want to go into marketing, find a marketing internship in your area. Go to your career services office and see if they're listing any potential opportunities. I'm working with a student who was able to intern over a Christmas break for 3 weeks with a company. Even though she didn't have a lot of time during the quarter, she was able to do an internship over winter break. You need to, another possibility is for you to work. You could get a job. Community colleges, schedules are nice and flexible, so you could actually pick your schedule around your work schedule. You can get jobs, but don't let them ever interfere with your grades. You also need to understand that colleges like kids who work. I had a young lady I helped transfer who worked at a movie theater. She wrote her whole essay about serving people popcorn. I've worked with people who have interned for a politician. They got an internship in a real estate office. I've had a girl who transferred who actually became an EMT and actually was working as a volunteer in the EMT in her community. I had another girl who was doing an outreach program for at-risk kids. If you want to transfer, you need to be involved. You need to find out if you want to go into business, can you intern over the summer for a couple businesses? Can you do one for a small business and then for a big business? Do you know somebody that you can go do and work in their art studio? You need to find these opportunities for yourself to get experience that you can add to your resume. The majority of applications no longer look at high school, and if they do look at high school, they only look at 11th and 12th grade. So you cannot rest on the laurels of what you did in high school. You need to understand that when you're paying for university, your deadlines are somewhat different when you're transferring. In California, the applications for community college transfer students are due September 2nd. You need to make sure that you complete your FAFSA. You need to go to the financial aid office, and if you're undocumented, get your Board of Governors fee waiver. You can get these now. You need to budget for books. You need to understand that they're often $150 to $200 per class. Go to the library and get books on reserve. Rent them. Buy them used. But you need to do well in your class. I loan books out to students. You never know if you go to office hours if your professor will loan you a book. You need to budget around $2,000 per year with tuition and books if you're not receiving any aid for a community college. You need to understand that you're going to that financial aid for private universities is often guaranteed to their freshman applicants, not always to their community college applicants. So that's why you're also going to need to find some scholarships to apply. Community college students, this is for you. It is not too late. Community college is the place for you to get a fresh start. But you only can take classes that you need. Some of you go and take classes without getting the right guidance. Always have a piece of paper with the requirements in front of you. Go to the transfer office and say, I only want to take classes on this list. How can you help me get into them? You need to attend as many transfer meetings as possible. Every single community college that I know has transfer workshops on how to write good application essays, on how to meet your application deadlines. Please, 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 if you're a top transfer kid, you can attend online today the Jack Kent Cooke Transfer Foundation presentation. Please, they have amazing scholarship opportunities for transfer kids. Also, find the colleges that take lots of transfer students. I had someone call me yesterday and said, my daughter wants to apply to a college. And I said, go online and find out how many transfer students they take. They take only 10. If you're going to a college that only takes 10, the likelihood of you getting in is significantly different from a college that takes a third of their class from transfer students. Please remember that it is never too late for you in community college. Please, please, please get involved on campus. Get involved off campus. I have a lot of students who end up transferring. I worked with a young lady who decided that she wanted to be a film person, and so she took her classes. She took as many film classes as she could in addition to her GE requirements. She went to the campus internship office and she got 3 internships. She knew nothing at these studios, but they had come to her community college looking for interns, and she did these internships, and that's why she got into a competitive program at one of the top film programs in the country. You need to do what you can to make yourself marketable. I had a young lady who wanted to go into fashion design, and so she got a job working for Free People, and she got steadily promoted so that she ended up doing the displays for the college, for the stores, and she got into the communications program of 2 competitive universities because they saw that she had the experience. She just needed the education and the opportunities that they were going to offer her. When you're getting near 30 units, you need to begin to plan a transfer. You need to attend these workshops. You need to make sure that if you do a program, that you match up with the right college. You need to make sure, everybody, that you do powerful essays and applications. You need to gather all of your materials, your transcripts, your letters of recommendation, your information for your GED. You need to get all of the materials that you possibly can ready to go way before the application is due. You need to also make sure, if you're currently in a 4-year college, make sure your winter and spring grades are as high as possible. The majority of the universities that you will be applying to will want to see your winter and spring grades. You need to connect with at least one professor because you will need at least one recommendation from the majority of private universities. You need to find out who your registrar is and who your academic advisor is. Some of the community colleges are waiving this, but most of the private colleges want to know who they are. Remember that you need to send in your transcripts from high school. You need to send in all your transcripts from college. These must be official. They cannot be unofficial. You need to be active on campus. You need to join groups and organizations. You need to write, if you're in a sorority, that's wonderful. Get involved in their outreach. Understand that when you transfer, you must stay part of that sorority or that fraternity. Those are the rules. Get a job or an internship. There are many universities that offer you internship credit. Many states require that you be enrolled in college to be an intern, so that's a great perk that you can offer. You also need to make sure that you complete strong applications. The application essay for the common application is describe your reasons and objectives for transferring. It is not creative. It requires you to explain your reasons for transferring, and it needs to say, when I went to my college, if there's going to be there's one essay for people who are in community college, and there's another route for people who are in a four-year college. Community college students need to say about the opportunities they had to remake themselves. They need to take about the opportunities they had to take courses in their major to get ready. They need to take about the opportunities they had to do internships and jobs. That you need to talk about who you are now. I get asked all the time, can I use my application essays from when I was a freshman applicant? My answer is no. You need to do experiences from the past year. They do not want you who you are in high school. They want who you are now in college. You need to do the best you can to write really powerful essays. Many of you also need to see if they have extra essay requirements. Some of them may have extra requirements if you actually graduated early from high school. They may have an opportunity if you switched colleges. So you need to explain yourself another time. If you were suspended in high school, you're going to need to explain it, but you need to go check before you do it because maybe your college never put it on your record. Please don't go in with lots of excuses. I worked with a young man a couple of years ago who was up north at a public university and knew he wanted to transfer into a particular program back in his hometown. He had not done well for a semester, and we made sure that he remade one of his classes and took the right classes winter and spring because he ultimately got in, and it's because he was very honest in his essays, saying he wasn't prepared for his first quarter, but his second quarter, third quarter, because he knew what he wanted, he was able to do much better. He also wrote about some music opportunities that he was taking advantage of at his current university, and he said he found the current courses and programs at the college that he wanted to go that he knew that were a better match for him than where he was, and he got in. He also made sure to go visit the university and go to one of their transfer days. You need to do whatever you can to be a transfer student. But this is one of the best times to be a transfer student because many universities are taking more. They understand the effect of the economy on many students. They understand that some students need to grow up a little and that their first college may be where they could get in right out of high school, but with what they do in that college, they can get into an even better college for them for their last 3 years. The majority of students that I work with, if they follow these directions, have choices of universities to transfer to. If you're a freshman right now and you're unhappy, you need to understand that most likely you can get into the same colleges you would have been able to get in as a high school senior. You will not be able to get into a college that you wouldn't get into before. But if you've used your summer, if you've used your winter, if you've taken a lot of classes, sometimes I have seen some changes. But primarily, do what you can to have choices. You need to also, if you're in your sophomore year, make sure that you are completing all of your GE requirements and your major prerequisites. You need to make sure if you send in those SAT scores that you find your password and your username. Don't send in your SAT scores if you don't need to, if you weren't proud of them. Community colleges are great places for many students. They are the fresh start that you needed after your high school. You need to take advantage of the opportunities that these colleges offer you. Four-year colleges, there are many students who go to a four-year college and realize, this is not the place for me. Socially, it's not the place for me. Academically, it's not. But you still need to do well in your classes. You still need to get a professor to write a recommendation for you. You still need to write powerful, non-accusatory letters, essays. You need to be proactive and positive. Remember, colleges want to hear happy students who are applying. You need to be as specific as you can in your applications. You need to make sure that you get all the support that you can. If you need more information from me, you can reach me at rjoseph@calstatela.edu. On Facebook, on my Get Me to College is my first name, Free Advice is my second name. I do have a Facebook page called Get Me Through College. I have a website, Get Me to College, that has information for transfers. On Twitter, I'm on Get Me to College, and on YouTube. Does anybody have any questions? Or I can go through and talk about a couple other cases of students that I worked with that might provide some good information for you. Okay, let me talk about this a student, Jessica. Jessica went to high school. She was very active in high school. In fact, her activities were extraordinary. She was very active in the National Art Society. She was very active on her dance team. She had done a lot of different work. But you know what? Her test scores were not her strength, and her GPA was a 3.5. And she got into some colleges, but she didn't always apply to the right ones. And when she got to her current university, she realized that it wasn't the place for her. The city wasn't the right city for her. The classes weren't the right classes for her. And it's like I told her, one way to find out about a university is to go visit it. Many colleges have visiting student programs. And so she found and discovered Barnard has a visiting student program. And she applied and she became a visiting student for her sophomore year. And Barnard happens to take 50% of the students as transfer students. Jessica made sure that she did a series of internships. When she was a visiting student, she made sure to get friendly with professors. She made sure to get to know the transfer center. She was very, very successful in transferring. I had another student who came to me, and he had gotten into a college, and he was very active on campus. He was doing well in his classes, but he chose two competitive universities to apply to. And I told him they're not going to accept you as a freshman most likely, and they didn't. What he did ultimately was he got himself a series of internships that made him stand out from other students. And right now, he is a junior transfer at a wonderful university. What is the best way, Caitlin wants to know, to decide which college to transfer to? Well, first of all, you need to find colleges that are within your economic possibility. Second, you need to find colleges to transfer to that take significant numbers of transfer students. Third, you need to find out that you're applying to a college that has the academic programs for you. So if you want to be a psychology major and they don't have a psychology major, it's not the right college for you. Because when you transfer, you go in with a major. The majority of colleges do not take undeclared transfers. They only take transfer students who come in knowing what their major are. So you need to make sure that they have your major. You need to make sure also that they have transfer programs. I know a lot of universities like Loyola Marymount in Los Angeles have a transfer program for transfers where they have a class that they take for their first semester that introduces them to the campus and gets them to know other transfer students. You need to find out whether they offer you the networks that you're looking for. Also, you need to find out if they have financial aid for transfer students. The best way to decide which college to transfer to is also one that's within your academic range. You're not going to get into a college, where the average is a 4.0 if you have a 3.5. You need to be realistic as a transfer student. Because what are you going to do if you don't get into any place as a transfer junior? You need to have a four-year university to graduate from. You need to have a nice list. My only request of you all is to understand that transferring is only for the strong. I go onto campuses and I meet students who say, I have 60 units and I still haven't fulfilled my transfer requirements. And I say, oh my goodness, you poor thing. We need to make a plan. So wherever you are, if you're a high school senior and you know you're going to transfer, you need to do your placement tests as early as you possibly can and start taking classes this summer. If you're a freshman in college and you know that you want to transfer for next year, you need to make sure that you have a professor in line to write your recommendation. You need to make sure that your transcripts are ready to go. You need to make sure that you've written really good essays. You need to make sure that you are taking advantage of all the time that you have. If you're a sophomore and you've been doing everything that you need to do, you just need to make sure that you've put together a fantastic application. A lot of these colleges want to know the classes that you're taking this spring, and some colleges haven't even had their spring semester start. So you need to put in your best guess of what you're going to be able to take, and then you may need to have to communicate with the colleges to say that you had to change classes or you didn't get all your classes. You need to know who the transfer specialist is. They are very used to working with you. I have students who are told from a college, go someplace else for a year and transfer in. You need to make sure that you are working with your advisor to do. So that's a very good question, Maureen. We have a question. Will this webinar be available via recording so it can be shared? Will it be available? Will it be available? I'm asking right now to find out to be shared. It is, yes, yes, it will. Maureen says, yes, it will. Yay, Maureen! Can you give us a link where we can find it? If not, I'll put it, it will be on the College Week Live website. Thank you very much. Also, if you follow me on Twitter, I'm also going to post this presentation to SlideShare. I have a Get Me to College SlideShare account, and for Get Me to College SlideShare, I will post this presentation today. This has been a wonderful opportunity. The most important thing is you need to get the word out to your friends. Are you taking the right classes? Are you making sure that you're following the drop deadline? Are you making sure that you are doing your internships and your jobs? If you know somebody right now who's a depressed college freshman, you need to go get them help, because nobody wants a depressed college transfer. I tell these kids, the most important thing that you need to do is you need to get exercise. A lot of people in high school were athletes, and then in college they're not doing athletics. You need to do some sports, do a club sport, do an intramural sport, go for a walk. I know on the East Coast it's really cold. I promise you, there are East Coast colleges with amazing sports programs. And one of the questions I just was asked is, in your opinion, what colleges excel the most as a transfer-friendly institution? Well, in California, we have, because of our master plan, the University of California takes a huge number of transfer students from in-state. The University of Southern California is very friendly to transfer students. The University of Michigan, very friendly to transfer students. NYU, you need to go online and find out and look at their stats. The institutions that want transfer students have a transfer coordinator. They have the requirements online to transfer. Please, 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 let's go back to our depressed college freshmen. We need to send them care packages. We need to go visit them. We need to make sure that they're getting the right schedule, because again, nobody wants an unhappy college freshman. You need to make sure that they find community. You need to make sure that they join a sorority or fraternity or get involved with an outreach program. They can join a dance club. They can join the school newspaper. They can join, I have a lot of students who get very involved in student government, because in community college, being part of student government gets you access to a lot of priority enrollment. You need to do the very best you can to help students excel in community college. Please, 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 if you know a community college student, if you know an unhappy freshman or sophomore in a private university, you need to help them with their applications. They have to get a lot of requirements together. They have to write essays that are very specific about their majors and their opportunities to explore their major. They need to write about an opportunity that they've had. You need to do the very best you can when transferring to make use of your opportunities. Let me tell you about another student that I worked with. I met Ryan 4 years ago, and he was in community college, and he had an F in a math class. And I said, oh my goodness. And we had to go find another version of that class for him to take. We also made sure that he got a lot of classes where he got A's. We also made sure that he got a incredible volunteer opportunity. We also did a lot to make sure that he took only classes that counted. And you know what? He ended up going to 3 colleges. He went to 2 community colleges and then the extension program of another college. You need to be proactive. And you know what? He transferred into a great college. I know another student who his first time in community college did not have a good experience. He had to take some time off. 2 years later, he came back and did much better. So what we did is we explained this in his application. We were very honest. We showed his maturity in doing better the second time. We showed how he had had a job. We showed that even though his first 2 years were not nearly as good as his last 2 years, that was the point of community college, which was to give people a second chance. I had another young lady who sadly had been sick, and she had to miss a significant portion of her high school experience. So she went to community college to enable her to rebuild herself. And she did, and she got into an elite institution because they were able to understand from her essays how she had had to miss high school because of her illness. Please remember that community colleges have amazing programs. Please also remember that if you're at a private university and you go tell them that you want to transfer your first semester, they may not be as supportive as you hope, because their goal is to have you stay. Their goal is to help you try to stick it out. So if you know right away that the college is wrong for you, you need to make sure that you're doing everything you can to transfer. That means taking winter classes. That means getting a job or an internship. That means getting involved on your campus. That means that you have to behave one way on the outside, even if you're not feeling that way on the inside. And you need to get emotional support. If you can't find that support on your college campus, you need to go see a therapist or a social worker or an advocate, because it's not always just, you can't always do it on your own. You need to get help and support. You need to make sure that if your parents are not understanding, that you help them understand. If you decide to come home, and sometimes I have students who come home, I say you need to apply to a community college right away because they're already filled. You need to make sure that you're going to be taking classes during the summer. You need to make sure that you're getting an internship or a job. I have a lot of students who leave and who come home, but you know what? They all wind up at the right place. If you do it proactively, you can do it. Here are my information again. Here's my email address is rjoseph@calstatela.edu. My Facebook is, my first name is Get Me to College. My last name is Free Advice. I do have a page, Get Me Through College. I have a website, getmetocollege.org. I have Twitter, Get Me to College, YouTube, and also Slide Room, Get Me to College. I will put my presentation up there. Also remember, it's available on the College Week Live website. Please also tell your friends that there are many outstanding workshops for the rest of today. College Week Live is amazing to do this for transfer students because you deserve all the support you could possibly get. Thank you very much for coming. If there are not any more last questions, I'm going to sign off. Thank you again. My name is Dr. Rebecca Joseph, and you can transfer if you have a plan. Thank you.